Now, with so many managers on a wildcard this game week, I thought I'd build 3 unique wildcard drafts that all have interesting features and hopefully give you a little bit of insight on the best picks for a wildcard for this game week. Now, of course, before we dive into today's video, if you do enjoy any of the content that you see on the channel, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as we are getting ridiculously close to hitting that 20,000 subscriber mark. And honestly, it would be unbelievable if we were to hit that before the next deadline. I would be extremely grateful. So thank you for everybody that has obviously been commenting, subscribing, supporting the channel for a few years now. Honestly, if we could hit that goal, it would honestly mean the absolute world to me. Let's take a look then at my first wildcard draft that I have built here. This one is going to be a Salah and Haaland premium draft. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, why would I want to go for Mohamed Salah? His form has been extremely disappointing at the start of this campaign, and I can't really argue that. The numbers support that as well. He's been very, very disappointing. However, if we take a look over at the 11-5 data for the next 6 projected game weeks, not the clean sheet ones, the goal ones, as we can see here, Liverpool are topping it, and they've got some absolutely cracking fixtures over the next few weeks. And I feel, why would you not want the guy who is going to play very good minutes, is going to be the penalty taker, and in previous years has just been unbelievable? Why would you not want that guy when you look at some of those fixtures coming up if you were on a wild card this week? Because you're looking at those projected goal numbers and you are just seeing absolute gold in there for potentially Mohamed Salah. Now, one of the big things I would say with this Salah draft is there definitely is kind of, you know, a kind of a little bit of a balance off where, yes, you have Salah, you have Saka, you have Haaland, but there are also obviously, you know, players that you're going to probably have to be rotating and playing around with. You're probably going to be looking at a Rodon, at an Anderson, at an Alderente, at a Calvert-Lewin, at a Xhaka that are probably going to have to be within the side most weeks. Now, do you think you could probably rely on some of these guys every single week? I probably think not. I think DEFCON has made it much more acceptable to obviously be a case. And I think Granit Xhaka, for me personally, I would be actually very happy to roll out with him every week because he's got multiple avenues to points. Of course, he's got those defensive contributions where he's been hitting fairly frequently. He also takes a lot of free kicks. And there are some Sunderland fans suggesting that he might be on penalties if, of course, Enzo Lafay isn't on the pitch. That would make him probably one of the best midfield selections at 5 million. So, you know, there are kind of those balances where, yes, you get Mohamed Salah, but number one, has he been justifying the price this season? Not for me personally. He's been nowhere near justifying his 14.4 million price tag. But what you then get is maybe an over-reliance on these cheap assets. So, like I said, the Calvert-Lewin, the Xhakas, the Rodons. Are they going to continue to deliver every single week? Probably not. But you will have yourself the best captaincy option every single week at the moment within the game. We saw Liverpool's projected numbers looking great, and that is why we've given Salah the armband for this draft. But of course, Haaland, the form that he's in, 18 goals in 11 games in all competitions across club and country right now, it would give you a a very good position and obviously a base to be going with. So I do really like this draft. I think there's definitely a lot of pluses for it. You get, obviously, some of the best attacking assets in the league right now. You get Saka, you get Haaland. Of course, as well, you've got Mohamed Salah with those great projected numbers coming up for Liverpool over the next few weeks. You've got yourself into some pretty decent defences as well. Nick Pope in goal. Newcastle have got some great fixtures coming up. If we take a look at the 11-5 clean sheet numbers, we can see Arsenal on there as well with some great numbers. We can see Newcastle on there as well. We obviously can see Fulham once you get past the next 2. There's some pretty decent game weeks in there, so that is why I've selected Anderson. And of course, for the next 2, you could very easily roll out your Sunderland and your Leeds players as well with some decent percentage chances there for some clean sheets as well. So, you know, you're in a pretty good position to, of course, be with the defence. And I do think the attack is very, very strong. However, for me, I personally wouldn't be looking at a Salah and Haaland draft. I do just think it leaves some of the other options kind of a little bit weaker. And I think the form that Salah is in right now, I don't think he is going to be justifying that 14.4 million price tag. So I probably would be looking at alternative drafts. Next up is going to be another unique draft. As you can see, this one doesn't contain Mohamed Salah, and it also is missing Bukayo Saka, a very big feature on a lot of Game Week 8 wildcards. I've spoken about this in a few videos. Why not potentially go for a triple Arsenal defence? If we again go to the 11-5 numbers, what we can see here is just exceptional, great potential chances of clean sheets. And if you saw the Rob T FPL post using the Solio data from a few weeks ago, you would have also seen there as well some absolutely fantastic numbers all the way up until game week 19 for Arsenal. They currently lead the way for expected goals conceded as well within the league and have only conceded 5 big chances across the opening 7 game weeks. Why would you not buy into that defence and maybe go for the triple up? Because Arsenal haven't been blowing teams away attackingly, so maybe realistically Saka is going to come away with maybe like 1 or 2 returns in a game. But if you could get yourself a defender like Gabriel, like Timber, that could have these massive peaks, can hit defensive contributions, which we've seen already with Gabriel, and are probably most weeks guaranteed to get a clean sheet, I realistically do think Arsenal are probably going to come away with a ridiculous amount of cleans this season, maybe somewhere above 15, around 16, 17. If they get like 18, it would be honestly absolutely unbelievable. And are these guys just going to score more at the end of the day than Saka? Probably, if they're going to be doing that. Arsenal as well have also scored the most goals from set plays, which benefits Timber and, of course, Gabriel. And Timber does have some open play threat as well. Very, very attacking for a fullback within that Arsenal side. So that is why we've gone a little bit different with this one and gone for that triple up in terms of the Arsenal defence. It also means realistically as well, we can kind of cheap out on the rest of the defenders. We've got Alderente and Rodon, obviously both have, defensive contribution threat and are at the 4 million base. Then we've gone for Senesi as well, who is just a DEFCON beast. He's already picked up 12 points additionally from that metric as well. But most weeks, you are probably just going to be rolling with Timber, Senesi and Gabriel as your back line, playing for defensive contributions and hoping that the Arsenal defence does keep a clean sheet. Because if it does, you are absolutely laughing. And as you can see, what it has allowed us to do is build a very, very good attack. I'm a big fan of the midfield, to be honest. Enzo and Dai, Semenyo and Bruno Fernandes are all the penalty takers for their sides. All for me as well feel pretty talismanic right now. Let's start off with Enzo Fernandez first. He featured in the last draft and is going to actually feature in all 3 drafts that we're going to be showcasing today. Chelsea's numbers on the 11-5 model are looking pretty decent, but it is looking likely that Cole Palmer is going to be out for a few more weeks, which does mean that Enzo is going to see very good minutes within the 10 role and probably going to be on penalty kicks as well. So that makes him an absolutely fantastic value asset at 6.7 million. Sarr as well, I watched back the Crystal Palace highlights of the Everton game. He was just absolutely involved in everything. He looks unbelievable again. Started the season great, had that little bit of an injury. Now he's back fit and available. And I do think if Palace are going to probably score, it's probably going to have 3 players' names kind of either in the goal or assist tally. It's going to be Sarr, it's going to be Mateta, and it's probably going to be Munoz. And maybe this season Gahey as well, because he's just popping up with assists for fun. But those are probably going to be realistically the 3 or 4 names that you can guarantee are sat next to the goal or assist column. And I think Sarr, again, at 6.4 million, just represents amazing value. The only concern I probably do have is around European football. Is there potentially going to be some rotation? Maybe, potentially. I think a few people have obviously called on Ndiaye as an asset, but I still think he's pretty good value. If you get away with not playing him for the next 2 weeks, then you've got yourself a guy who is on penalty of course has open play threat, and again has defensive contribution potential as well. So for 6.5 million, what more could you ask for? I know a lot of people are going to ask me about Bruno Fernandes and why I have selected him within this lineup. Look, once you get past that Liverpool fixture, United's fixtures are amazing all the way up until game week 22, and they've actually been one of the best sides for XG created so far over the opening 7 game weeks. I think as well Bruno has been very, very unfortunate. Has hit 11 twice as well on the defensive contribution, so he's missed out on an additional 4 points there, with just 1 DEFCON being able to be hit in one of those games. He would have come away with an additional 4 points. Obviously missing 2 penalties and the potential bonus impact on that as well. And you do just think to yourself, if he'd have done all that, he would be probably right up there, second behind Semenyo in terms of point scoring. And a lot of us would be having a very different conversation right now about Bruno Fernandes. And I still do think he's going to be a very, very good pick. And I understand, some people aren't going to back Bruno, aren't going to back Manchester United and maybe want to move away from him. I understand that. But for me, with this team that we've built here and no Saka, definitely does lend himself to potentially being an option. Let's run through quickly for our forwards. I mean, no real explanation needed for Haaland. João Pedro, I know, has only had one shot within his past 3 Premier League games, but the Chelsea fixtures are looking really good, and they're facing off against some of the worst sides for expected goals conceded over the next 5 game weeks, so I really want to attack those fixtures. And Walter as well, there's some great fixtures coming up for Newcastle United. We can see that if we head over to the 11-5 numbers here, we can see that Newcastle are towards the top of this list. Some great projected goal numbers over there. However, if you are expecting Walter to be on penalty kicks, I would just err on the side of caution. We saw Anthony Gordon in the Champions League take them. We saw, obviously, Walter won one and was on the pitch for one of them. So I do still believe that Anthony Gordon is the confirmed penalty taker for this side. So if both of them are on the pitch, it does mean that Walter isn't going to be getting any penalties. So I would, of course, just make yourself aware of that, you know, I wouldn't be expecting penalties every single week from him. And of course, that isn't going to be something that is going to be added to his value. But overall, still seems like a pretty decent pick and has settled into the Premier League quite nicely with some good fixtures coming up. So if we want to take a look at him, I fully understand it. Okay, let's finish off then with my final wildcard draft. This is the one that I showcased a few days ago in a video. If you want to obviously go through every single pick and hear my detailed analysis on why I've selected them, then head over to that video. But for me right now, this probably feels like the most balanced wildcard I've managed to build ahead of game week 8. I think you've just got a nice mix of teams with great fixtures coming up, players with plenty of avenues to points, whether that be defensive contribution, set piece share, or open play threat. I just feel you've got a nice blend within this side. And for me, it does just feel like a really, really good, strong team for the next few weeks. And this is probably one of the main kind of caveats of going without Salah drafts, is you can build an extremely balanced team that I think will probably, everybody in here will justify their price point better than Mohamed Salah will, unless, of course, he does look like an absolute beast over the next few weeks with some great fixtures. Then maybe there is going to be a bit of rejigging. But for right now, I do just feel there is room to go without Mohamed Salah and build something more like this, where it is more kind of, you know, a spread out draft with plenty of great picks and plenty of good bench cover as well. So if you're on a bench boost, this maybe could be the one for you. Obviously, Leeds have some great fixtures in game week 8 and game week 9 as well. So you've got the ability to, of course, activate the bench boost with that and get Calvin Lewin's best fixtures while he's still sat on your bench. I'm going to run through the picks that I haven't spoke about already. Obviously, Chalobah, I'm actually quite a big fan. The Chelsea numbers are looking pretty decent on the 11-5 model, so you're going to be, you know, investing into a pretty decent defense. I know their expected goals conceded numbers are looking a little bit shaky right now, but I do think the red cards in multiple games has definitely had an impact on that, and not something I would be expecting to see every single week for Chelsea. I think as well, if you look at his CBIT per 90 numbers as well, they are looking also very, very good. So you've got yourself a nice balance in here of defenders that can definitely get clean sheets and attacking returns, and of course Senesi and Chalobah probably going to be looking more towards those defensive contributions. Paqueta as well, West Ham have some great fixtures coming up over the next 4 game weeks, and if you do think there is going to be a revival under Nuno Espirito Santo, then of course Paqueta or Bowen are probably going to be 2 of my favourite picks. I think for 5.9 million, Paqueta is exceptionally good value. He has the, of course, ability to hit defensive contributions, has some set piece share, and of course the big one for him is going to be penalty appeal over the next few weeks. Of course, there as well, you've got Sarr, who can of course rotate, and I've just waxed lyrically about how good I do feel Sarr is. Overall, though, this for me does feel like the best and the strongest draft heading into game week 8. And if I were to be on my wildcard this week, this is probably something very, very close that I would be looking to build myself. Maybe 1 or 2 different picks, but overall, this is definitely where my head would be at with a wildcard in game week 8. Let me know what you think of my free FPL drafts. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. We'll try to answer as many questions as we possibly can, ladies and gentlemen. But thank you for watching today, and make sure you're hitting that subscribe button.